Consumable awareness. This is where you need to start getting used to at least the first basic consumables, right? And hack you as well if they have their ability activated. You can then use an OS kit and it will eliminate. I recommend looking at the different spawn points. Knowing that certain spawn points exist. Before season 2 starts, I want to release this masterclass on how to play with Triage. I'll definitely start by saying there are plenty of videos out there that you can go to that are much shorter than this one, and I'll even put some in the description. But this video is for you to go grab a bag of popcorn, sit down, make some notes, or just have fun and really dig in deep with how to actually play with Triage. My hope with this masterclass is that you'll get something out of this video that's very different from all of the other Triage videos. A lot of them just cover the basics and the text that's given on the runner. And there's some other videos that go in more depth and how you can use them, but I think here we have an opportunity to go in really deep. So with all that said, here's the most advanced guide for Triage out there, broken down into 3 levels. Timestamps are below. Sit back and enjoy. Downed him. Full send. Here's a cardio kick. Level 1 is about becoming the survival anchor. You're not here to shine yet, but you are here to make your team impossible to kill. At this level, the things that you're concerned about are ability spam, map awareness, team dependency, playstyle, and consumable awareness. These are things you want to work on at this level. Let's start with ability spam. What I mean by ability spam is you're always making sure drones are out on your teammates as often as possible, to the point where it's almost annoying. This is considered your tactical ability. Set the tone early with players you don't know by putting drones on them. That way, they start to see right away that you're invested in their passive heals. Next is your second trait ability. We skipped the first one, battery overcharge. We'll talk more about this later, but battery overcharge is still useful even if you're not using Volt weapons. Sure, battery overcharge doesn't increase the attack power of your weapons, but it does increase the overall performance and stats of your weapons. I don't have the exact stats to share, but I will say you'll hit more shots. Guns with low level mods will just feel better to shoot. This means you need to be popping battery overcharge before each engagement. Next is the prime ability, Reboot Plus. With this ability, you can actually revive 2 players at once. You can also damage 2 enemy runners at once, or you can damage an enemy runner and revive someone. Later, we'll talk more about other use cases for this super in a higher level. Next, we should talk about probably one of the most important topics that'll reoccur here, and that is map awareness. I would also like to include map knowledge. A resource to help get more map knowledge is mapgenie.io. Here you can study all 4 of the maps. As you can see, Perimeter, Dire Marsh, Outpost, and Cryo are here. If you select Dire Marsh, which I think is a good one to start with, you can go to Hide All. Hide All will take away all the icons and you can just look at the ones you want to study first. I recommend looking at the different spawn points. Knowing that certain spawn points exist allow you to be more prepared for flanks and also just situations that are really tough. For instance, if my team spawns at Bio Research, I know that there's a team on the left and the right coming from Greenhouse and potentially Complex that could flank us, especially in ranked mode. It's an easy pick, easy third party in that particular situation. So learning all about the spawn points, the different areas and their names are really important, not just for being able to help your teammates accomplish their missions, but also just so you're aware of where certain things are on the map. That may have been a really small example, but in other situations, there are other maps that are even more complex. As you go up to Outpost and eventually Cryo Archive, there are objectives, key locations, boss locations, as well as just really understanding what possibilities there are on the different maps can give you a competitive edge when it comes to callouts and things like that. What I would encourage is, even in this first level of mastery for Triage or any character, I would recommend practice getting used to making callouts and practice directing your team to certain locations and making them aware of certain flanks that could happen. Here's a quick example of what I mean by leading your team and helping them with their missions. Challenge yourself to remember the ways around the map, as well as different missions that you've already accomplished. Overflow. You need to go to overflow. That's where I'm trying to get us to right now. Head out now though. If you guys come to me. Yeah, you can come right here. Yeah. Perfect. Just land right here. Let's not go that way. Let's head over here real quick. Let me look. You need to go second floor, terminal, and overflow. Okay. So that's probably gonna be back here. Yep. Inside of there. And there's unstable diode in this box here after you're done. Lastly, map awareness is something that you'll have to achieve through lots of practice and training your mind to hear certain things on the map. Determine whether or not something came from a certain direction. Get used to calling out north, south, east, west, etc., etc. I hear someone. I have eyes. One down. Having these skills early on can actually make up for some lost ground with not having the gunplay skills that you might feel like you're lacking at this point. But don't get comfortable, because in order to achieve level 2, I think it's really important to start making sure that your gunplay is coming up to par. But I digress. Keep in mind that running runners like Triage and Recon put you in a position where you have less mobility and vertical capability, so you have to build up the rest of your skills so that they outweigh all of the others. What you want is to keep your support capabilities and all of the abilities that Triage get, but also predict the future as much as possible, or predict certain outcomes that could possibly happen so that you can get the heads up on a runner that could be coming at you from an angle that you're not used to. Let's touch up on our last two topics for this level, which are team dependency playstyle and basic consumable awareness. When you're confident there are players with you that are better at PvP than you are, what you want to do is stay within the general vicinity and do things to help them that they shouldn't be risking their life to do. One thing to note, even though bubble shields are very strong, not all teams like to use bubble shields, so make sure your team is good to go when it comes to that. Placing this bubble was a great example. I went in, found out how many players were left and their position without having to sacrifice the better PvP player. Also, you'll notice I get to look around for the other player and check our surroundings to see if we're getting third-partied. Even if you think you still need a lot more practice, there's still moments that you can look for where you can team up with your teammates, try to fire together, and do what you can. You can also slide in front and actually take some of the damage, absorb some of the damage for your teammate as well. So next we have basic consumable awareness. This is where you need to start getting used to at least the first basic consumables. Marathon is a brutal game, so every single advantage you can get, whether it's big or small, should be utilized and abused. We also, of course, need to talk about the first trait that we skipped over. The short of it is, trait 1 is Shareware.exe. Basically, it allows you to share your buffs and your consumables with anyone who has a drone on them. It's specifically 25%. That means if a buff you consume gives you 2 minutes of a buff, it'll give the other players around 30 seconds of a buff. Now that you know that you can share your consumables, we can talk briefly about them on a basic level. In my opinion, these are the first 3 consumables you should be getting really familiar with and start getting used to using, at least at level 1 of your training as a triage master. These consumables are Energy Amp, Cardio Kick, and Mechanics Kit. Let's start with Energy Amp. Energy Amp will actually decrease the amount of time it takes to get your abilities back. Next, Cardio Kick actually increases your heat capacity and it gives you an agility boost.
Watch out, this is a ledge right here.
The last consumable is the Mechanics Kit, which will help you repair toxins and overheating. And even Frost from Cryo Archive.
Here.
Level 2 is all about becoming a combat medic. As me and my friend Blade like to say, combat comes before medic.
But the combat comes first.
For level 2, you want to make sure that you learn the meta, get better at making callouts, master your shareware, and master positioning. In my opinion, the Bully, Outland, and Mizraya are all currently meta, despite any nerfs you may have heard about. This could change in the future, but at the moment, they still dominate. I recommend taking time to get used to using these guns. The Bully at least is extremely cheap in the armory, and learning the meta teaches you how to actually deal with these weapons when other people use them. So we've touched on this briefly in level 1, but now you need to challenge yourself to make better callouts. Just keep doing your best to make callouts and you'll get better and better. Here are some clips from some of my most recent games.
Oh my god. Oh, it's at station here. Let's go.
I've never loaded to the game this fast.
Yep, right upstairs. There's another team that's probably going to be here too, by the way. So just keep that in mind. I don't want to be trapped in this room, so I'm headed upstairs quick. Let's go.
I play with a mixed party. One of us is on PC and 2 of us are on console. I think being on console is not an excuse. You've got to learn things like being able to drag weapons into other slots, or using 3 weapons.
Get high ground on these guys. See him? Yep, I got sniper.
Right now, I don't even see anybody.
23 seconds, I'll have a signal jammer. There you go. I'm opening it up, so just come straight here. Yeah, we could definitely go south relay. Probably save from a wide swing out that way if you want. We have a little bit more of a range. Let's get it. Your gauge gets to halfway, Blade. Okay. Okay, got you. Cardio kick. I think I want to say I heard something in there, but let's get high ground. Going up top here.
Right there.
Where?
Another tip while we're just navigating is that if you're playing on console, you want to aim high. You want to aim for the body and you'll get a better chance of hitting critical hits on the head.
One more.
Oh, I got the one right here.
There might be one more. I hear him. Footsteps.
Stop playing. What? I'm gonna
Yep.
put my shot in.
I cracked somebody inside. Up top on the roof. Blue shield's below. Got him. He's dead. One up here on me. I'm low. He's dropping on me. No! I was stuck in animation.
Killed the other one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I see it.
Put him out.
I can't believe that these didn't die.
Next, let's talk about Shareware.exe as well as positioning. What we'll do with this is we'll segue into the last level, which is going to be our shortest and last lesson. In level 1, you made sure to understand the 3 basic consumables: Energy Amp, Cardio Kick, and Mechanics Kit. And now we finally get to talk about the 3 other consumables: OS Kit, Antivirus, and Signal Jammer. Now let's talk about positioning while showing you some clips of how I like to use these consumables on my teammates. You saw this clip earlier where I asked my teammate when his heat gauge is halfway. And then once he tells me, I actually hit a cardio kick, and that is for traversal. And here's another where me and my team are doing a hard rotation and our destroyer wants to get a nice boost. Here's some Mechanics Kit usage. You'll notice we got EMP'd right there. I could have used an OS kit, but here we get hit by a couple of recon drones. And then you'll see that I pop a Mechanics Kit. One of them doesn't have a drone, so I hit them with a drone, and then I pop a Mechanics Kit on them just to make sure to clean up. Then we get chem-nated. Instantly, I still get ready and give them another Mechanics Kit so that they're not bleeding out, and we're able to continue to push. You'll also notice the positioning here, where I actually position them on purpose. Usually it's going to be in between both of them, or it's going to be behind both of them. That way I can always be the second attacker, typically, or the last attacker, but you want to stay right on your teammates. Just as a small positioning note. I'm spilling all the sauce. On PlayStation, if you have the Pro controller, I like to assign the left back button the quick menu for consumables. But next is Energy Amp. Anytime I see that one of my teammates has used an ability, a prime, or a tactical, I usually instinctively, if I have a Energy Amp, just start using it. Remember, via Shareware.exe, your teammates get 25% of whatever you give. And so when I use an Energy Amp, I know that it takes off almost 10 seconds of my tactical or prime abilities. Furthermore, I like to pop the Energy Amp buff every time we're about to go into combat, or just in passing if I know that we're at a weak moment or a pausing point where we just got done with the fight. That way we're ready to go as soon as a new fight arises. Next, if you or your teammates are hit with an OS laser, it will hack your software. Also, thieves can aim down sight and hack you as well if they have their ability activated. You can then use an OS kit and it will eliminate it immediately. Also, the same effect happens when you get hit by an EMP nade. Sometimes this can also result in having one of your abilities disabled. When you use antivirus, it actually puts a yellow bar above your health and shields. This bar allows you to go into areas that are corrupted. This is especially important for things like Vault 6 in Cryo Archive, lockdowns, and even going after the boss fight compiler in Cryo Archive. Also, if you're trying to do certain rotations inside of Cryo Archive, it will definitely require antivirus. Last but not least, we have Signal Jammers. Signal Jammers are still really powerful even after a nerf. When Recon uses their ultimate ability, your team is going to show up as bots or USEC. Also, you'll notice that USEC have a more difficult time trying to hit you, and also some of the patrolling floating bots actually will just straight up ignore you if you have Signal Jammer on. So when you're putting Signal Jammer on your teammates, it's extremely helpful, and you should do it before each encounter if you have the ability. Level 3, the Field Commander. At this level, we want to take all the things that you've learned so far and put them into 4 major gameplay clips, with the addition of some other things that we did not talk about that I believe are actually advanced for triage, such as Vault weapons, triage cores and implants, a compiler boss run, an aggressive cryo run, and some 1v2s. So enjoy the rest of this. For the sake of the length of this video, I will only do a few Vault weapons and I'll do a cryo archive run and a 1v2. I had 4 1v2s to pick from, but I chose this one just because in this one it's a lot more clear how I try to force the 1v1.
I'm coming. There sounds like gunfire in the center, by the way. This way.
I let my teammates know that I think I hear something, and then we start moving out. Now my teammates go in front of me mostly, but I'm the one that's spotted. So when I lose health, my instinct is to get my health back. So I immediately push back, get a heal off, and then both of my teammates are going down, so I pop a super. And as they're pushing, I'm able to use my super aggressively to get a kill. But that's not, that doesn't mean I should stay and keep fighting. So I drop another drone because I noticed my drone was getting pretty low. And by the time my drone ran out, another one that was nearby that I dropped came over to me and replaced that one. So I tried to drop some grenades strategically, and that did work. It did actually push them back far enough. So their triage stepped back, but their assassin decided to push, and that's why he ended up getting killed. I ended up healing myself, and I should have popped a mechanics kit here, but I did start to hear that he was rezzing, so I just kind of pulled up and got the final kill there. It seems to be a duo, and I'm a little weary of there being a third person left, so I end up activating my battery overcharge just to get ready, put another drone on myself, and take off the debuff from the heat grenade that was tossed at me earlier, and give myself a little cardio kick so I can kind of run around and be ready for that 1v1. Turns out they're not there, so I go ahead and get the res. And then one of my characteristics is, I'll literally tell them to heal, and I'll put a drone on them. Telling your teammate to heal is important because the less the drone has to do, the longer it gets to stay on that teammate. So I tell him to heal up, which he starts to do, which is great. Then I get a drone on him. Because remember, you want the drone to be on your teammates so that, you can continue to apply buffs and debuffs to them while you guys are still playing. So, or you're still in the middle of a run. Next, let's talk about Vault weapons. The most important thing to remember about Vault weapons is if you use your battery overcharge tactical ability and you crack someone's shields, then you will EMP them. If you're running on Dire Marsh or Perimeter, it's nice to have a sniper around. So I would recommend the Channel Rifle or the Zeus. The Channel Rifle actually charges up and then you can do a maximum damage fire. And I will say it pairs up nicely with the Triage Cloak perk on any of your chest plate implants. The reason for that is you get invisibility while you're self-reviving or you're reviving another teammate. And of course, if you're downed from a long distance like you just saw, it's a lot easier for you to do a self-res. Same with your teammates. You can use the Channel Rifle just like any other sniper rifle. However, you got to keep in mind it charges up automatically. You can see the 2 indicators on your screen. There are mods that allow you to charge it up even faster. As you can see on my screen, it's charging up a little bit faster than normal. And one other note is typically I like to stay on the high ground. We have sort of a disadvantage because this other team has higher ground than us, but I still at least have cover. So I was able to peek shot and get some really good shots on them. But remember, when you're using the Channel Rifle, you want to make sure to do your battery overcharge. That way you are putting the debuff the EMP debuff on enemies that you crack their shields. Pairing a good short range gun with the channel rifle like the V Thrower or the Circuit Breaker is always a great play as well. The V22 Thrower is an excellent weapon. It has a hidden perk. When you have it equipped and you're able to get an enemy in your sights, it will auto target them and try to track onto them. And it'll even put this red square on them. As you can see, it's one of the best weapons for tracking down an assassin. For close range maps and for PvP, I highly recommend the Volt Thrower with the gold mod. It is, for me, the best in slot for Triage. The Vault bullets actually track onto enemy targets and then just explode. And if they crack the shield and you have battery overcharge on, I mean, it just EMPs the enemy, whether it's a player or a USEC. Either way, it's pretty OP. Circuit breakers are extremely good. While they're not the best shotgun in the game right now, as the title is being held by Ms. Raya currently, you still have the chance to use them from a longer distance, and they're extremely OP when it comes to bubbles. Also keep in mind that if you have the Prestige mod, you can actually shoot through bubbles with the third charge. The Circuit Breaker and its gold mod are definitely just one of those best in slot for Triage weapons, mainly because if you're playing Triage correctly and you have the right team dynamic, you will be positioned in a way where the long range of the Circuit Breaker is to your advantage and your teammates' advantage. So you're getting nice shots on enemies from a mid range while your teammates are in the fray. As for the rest of the Vault weapons, I'm gonna go through them live with you, and if you would want a more in-depth video, just leave a message in the comments, let me know what your preference is. But let's run through them just live. So here I had a setup going for another runner, just doing some experimentation. But what I'll do here is actually just run through all the Vault weapons and just kind of talk about what I would use for a setup for different play styles. So if we just start kind of selecting some things, my backpack is usually my foundation. I don't have any purple backpacks at the moment, but usually I'll get the med backpack, which definitely has that consumable speed boost. So you're using your consumables a lot faster. And sometimes I'll make a rule. I'll usually pick 3 of every buff or debuff consumable to bring along with me. But let's talk about the Vault weapons specifically. So for short range fights, sometimes in Cryo Archive, I like to just go ahead and just, run Circuit Breaker and the V22 Thrower. What's really cool about this combo is just they're both pretty short range. The Volt Thrower does have a little bit more range than you would expect, actually, and I can always show some videos of me using that. It's pretty good. I might actually be doing a voiceover for that at the end of this video. But this is probably my favorite in slot at the moment. This mod isn't my favorite. My 2 favorite mods for the Volt Thrower are going to be, see if I, yep. This one here, the Torch Bug. Eliminating a hostile causes them to explode. This is an excellent mod for the Volt Thrower, especially when paired with the gold mod. So the gold mod, consecutive hits on a target creates explosive burst. Absolutely amazing. Flechettes that heal you. This is another mod that I really like on the Volt Thrower. But I would say my other favorite, let me see if this is it. No, increased damage is really good. but still not it. I think this is it. This is one of my other favorite chip mods to use on the Volt Thrower, which is restore a massive amount of health and shields when damaging a target affected by EMP. And as Triage, of course, you're using this Volt Thrower with the gold mod, doing explosive bursts, you're breaking people's shields. And if you're using your battery overcharge, then that means you're EMPing them. And so you're getting health and shields back right away. This just makes it so that you don't have to worry about yourself as much, and you can keep worrying more about your party and your teammates, which is pretty awesome. So in terms of the circuit breaker, it's really great. I used up all of my schema. You get free schema from the reward pass this season, actually. I believe that was way up here. Let me see. You get schema for channel rifle, Zeus. Actually, you get them for all of the different Volt weapons, actually. Circuit breaker schema right here. And then as well as I found a circuit breaker schema recently, but I've already pretty much used them up, unfortunately. So yeah, and let's talk about some of the other ones. We talked about channel rifle. Channel rifle's great. The exotic mod on the channel rifle is pretty awesome. Do I have any others? I think I only have these two left. That's fine. But the charge rate is increased while aiming down sight, and that's really helpful so that you can get these critical hits really quickly using the channel rifle. Great sniper. You can actually just fire really fast and it'll still do a decent amount of damage, so don't forget that. Plus you're using battery overcharge. This is an excellent weapon. I've only used the Zeus. I haven't actually used this gold mod, but I did recently see Staycation, another YouTuber out there who uses this weapon, and I highly recommend go check out his gameplay on that. It was Staycation or was another one? But anyway, so you'll notice I'm talking about Volt weapons, and if you're newer, you might be kind of confused because you might think that channel rifle, circuit breaker, and Zeus don't count as Volt weapons, but they absolutely do. The reason being is because they have Volt cells. So there's two different types of Volt weapons in the game, and they absolutely still work with the battery overcharge for Triage. You have the Volt cell weapons and you have Volt battery weapons. So what we went over were majority Volt cell weapons, with the exception of the Volt Thrower. Another weapon that is really great is the V22 Scar. And for the Scar, it's really awesome. I like to have suppressor on the Scar. Gives you a little bit better distance, a little bit better range than the Volt Thrower. I'd say for like dire marsh or perimeter, it's really great to use that over the Volt Thrower. Just another excellent best in slot. I mean, V22 Scar is actually already a great weapon by itself. But we can take a look at the mod here, which is pretty excellent. There's plenty of gameplay online for this. I've already used up 2 of them, and I have yet to use this last one. But yeah, I've had 2 of this gold mod in the past, and unfortunately I don't think I have any gameplay of using it. I'll have to look it up. But the rate of fire no longer decreases, which is amazing. And it also ricochets off of walls, those Volt bullets. So it's a fantastic mod. Very great weapon, the Scar. It's just a longer range thrower for the most part, because those bullets do kind of curve and track, and you get that red square around enemies. And then finally, this one I have more gameplay of as well, and I'll probably just do a separate video for Volt weapons again with gameplay involved. But the lookout is insane. It's really, really great. It's especially a great substitute for a sniper if you're playing to not use a sniper. But you'll notice in some of my gameplay that I like to switch between sniper and a lookout. So a common setup would be something like this for me, where I've got a shotgun and I've got, you know, a channel rifle or a sniper. Outland is meta right now, so it's going to perform even better. But I personally enjoy using the channel rifle more, so I just use what you enjoy using is always going to be best. Because you're going to land more shots and everything like that. And that's just kind of how it is for me. Not to say I don't enjoy using Outland, but channel rifle is a little bit my favorite. But I play on controller, so being able to drag is pretty important. I know I mentioned it earlier in this video, but I'm able to hold the trigger down and just drag, if you didn't know that. That way I can switch between my scout rifle and a sniper sometimes. Or sometimes if I'm just kind of doing a budget build, I'll just go with just a scout rifle, the lookout. Let's see, what else are we missing? Those are essentially the vault weapons. The one weapon we didn't talk about is the punch, which you can always grab a budget punch over here for 3K. I end up grabbing this a lot. I actually just lost mine, but I grab the punch a lot because it's just a really great weapon. It's super stable. You can get consistent headshots, and if you're playing triage, it's just nice. It's crispy, especially because when you break people's shields, they're gonna get EMP'd. So that's always a great thing. I have a schema for Scar, so that I can get more. But yeah, that is the main thing. In another video, I'll talk about, you know, which factions are important to get. I'll give you a tip real fast. I think Traxxas, Nucleoric, and Mida are your most important factions. Nucleoric is the top one for this reason right here. Getting these daily health packs and consumables to be able to not only have for yourself, but share with your teammates if they're running low. Being able to barter for materials and purple shields and things like that. Just Nucleoric is just such a valuable one to level up. And then after that, I would probably say Traxxas is your next most important one, just because it's nice to be able to have, this is debatable, it's going to be Traxxas or Mida for sure. But Traxxas, because you can eventually get on the branch where you can purchase blue Volt weapon or Volt weapon mods. And then Mida, of course, so that you can eventually barter for bubble shields and things like that. Smoke grenades are super important, and cardio kicks are extremely important. And Sakaguchi is definitely another one of those that that's the next in line. But really what you want to do with Sakaguchi is like, just go over to the upgrades tree and you want to get these two upgrades here. And I'll let you read up on those, but it gives you over half of your tactical and super ability at the start of a match, which is fantastic. Nucleoric, you want to be leveling that up so that you can start buying blue shields, and you can, start buying shield charges and stuff like that. But I digress. That is my breakdown of the Volt weapons. I think while I'm here, I may as well give you a what's my best in slot for Cryo Archive. I would say Spectre Armor is insane, just because being able to go invis when your shields get cracked is awesome. The med backpacks are excellent. And this is just my preference, you know. Some people will disagree with this, but these are my favorites. I'll probably say increased damage. See if I can find my EMP. Yeah, that one's best in slot for me. I would say something like that. Let's say we're going into Cryo Archive and I was pretty much going all out. I would probably do something like this. And really, if I have aggressive teammates, it's this. If I don't have aggressive teammates, then we're probably looking at going to the Scar to be able to have a little bit more distance. But, you know, let's say I've got 2 destroyers on my team. That's a good start right there. And then let's see if I've still got one of my favorites. Yeah, recharging the Helping Hands with a Triage Cloak as the bonus perk there. And then the unique trait being the recharges crew shields for a short time after a revive is best in slot for me. I mean, just think about it. You walk up to someone, you start reviving them, you and them go invisible. And once they revive, you know, they start getting their shields back. It's pretty OP. So, tactical ability, I think that's another really good one. Let me see. Rapid precision hits, precision elimination, hack nearby. This one's really great for USEC, but I would say the self-repair speed is one of my favorites. And this is probably why I, you know, on purpose try to keep at least one of these around. After cleansing. So, yeah, after sprinting, the stealth servos, after sprinting for a short time and sliding makes you invisible. One of my other favorites for Triage, just being able to tactically get away. It's pretty insane. And then finally, like when we get to these like Triage cores here, we you know, one of my favorite combinations here, let me go back to it, is definitely the Samaritan, which reduces that cooldown of your med drone, which is pretty awesome. But let me see if I've got, yeah, I think all I have is Samaritan on me right now. No benefits. Here it is. Double dose is excellent. And then believe it or not, pairing it with a purple. Yeah. So take a look at these. These two are a couple of my favorite mods. Your med drone heals crew members more quickly and efficiently, which is awesome. And then, of course, the benefits of consumables shared with crew members by your Shareware.exe are increased. Also excellent. It's just a great combo. Sometimes I'll switch out one of them for a burst of healing so that I'm kind of rewarded in the middle of combat for putting a drone on one of my teammates by getting that burst of healing. So it's kind of interchangeable. They're both extremely great, but if you want to lean into helping your teammates, I think it's excellent. Definitely having a bubble shield around is great. EMP nades are great. I like leaning into EMP just because you can shut down people's super abilities and things like that using an EMP nade. And then of course frag grenade is always great to have, doesn't matter who you're on. Chem nades to kind of block off an area, but remember, if they're a high level player, their chem nade's not going to stop them. Even flechette grenades may not stop them. They might just be overly aggressive. So I think things like bubble shields are going to help out getting those revives. Smoke nades are more likely to stop people, but remember they have highlights. So yeah, and when it comes to building up, let's say a semi, not even a budget build. Let's say I want to put together a serious build. I usually bring like 3 advanced patch kits. I'll do the 6 advanced shields, 2 self-reses. And if we're doing a serious run, I'll do 6 EMP, and I'll do 6 cardio kicks. And for Cryo Archive, I do at least 3 mechanics kits and usually 2 OS kits. And I'll do 2 antivirus for being able to rotate the back rooms. And in terms of ammo, just because having this gold mod on the Volt thrower, having the overcharge lens on there, it actually takes up a bit more ammo and you find yourself reloading a bit more. I'll do 3 to 4 Volt batteries. And then of course I'm not using nips, I'm using 2 Volt batteries for circuit breaker. And that's how I would build up and get ready for a run for triage. And I kind of like having 2 of the same grenade with me, so I'd probably do 2 frags. And yeah. I'll start to post more videos on the different Volt weapons and how I like to use them, and just different clips of scenarios. Alright, so here we're gonna do some commentary over a compiler boss run. One of the first things you'll notice is that I load up and I have I'm using an M77 and not a Volt weapon for my primary. And that's because unless you have the SFIT mod that increases your damage on the compiler, I don't recommend using a Volt weapon like a V thrower or anything like that on the boss. You should probably use an M77 or a heavy weapon to do as much damage as possible to put your teammates in a good position. It's M77's all around a good alternative and a good strong weapon for triage to run, and you can still keep your mid-distance type of combat as well. So I am a little bit late to starting to get drones on my teammates here, but I prioritize myself this time. It just kind of depends on who my team is. If I'm pretty competent in my team, I'll probably just start with myself and then start getting drones on everyone else just incrementally or just over time. See, I do a little skip in here. We're still in the first room, so there's not really anything crazy going on here. By now I've got drones on both of my teammates, and pretty much anytime I'm ready to put a new debuff on them, we're ready to go. Matter of fact, since I know that we're going to need it later, I start putting antivirus on my teammates just to get that over with. We were going to wait on activating our DNA card, but our teammate actually ends up getting disconnected, so we decided to go ahead and do it, as we lost about 3 to 4 minutes. So in order to get that security clearance, we just go ahead and spawn those enemies and pretty much get to it. We're about to do some running, so I end up giving my teammates a cardio kick while reading off the code that we have to remember, and then we get to it. While rotating between POIs, I end up putting signal jammers on us just to help us out in case we get scanned by recon or anything like that. And then I give us a cardio kick so that we can continue kind of moving as fast as possible when we can. Because we're using all the back routes, we aren't running into as many teams, so we hit another POI, got some clearance, and then kept moving forward. And then now I'm giving us another cardio kick. And, you know, really just for traversal in general, it's nice to give your teammates a cardio kick when you got drones on them. That's why I bring in plenty, as well as signal jammers. Now we arrive at a new POI, and there is actually a team here, so we actually have to fight, and this is the team that we need to fight. They have clearly been the ones wiping the rest of the lobby, and so this is a compiler run, so we're trying not to mess up while facing these guys. And so immediately we back up. Whenever recon tosses out its spider drone, the V22 Thrower is the best weapon because it auto tracks, as well as V75 Scar. But we're not in a position where I'm with my favorite PvP weapons. M77 is still great though, and I do still have a circuit breaker. So now we're just trying to make certain plays. I'm keeping an eye out on my teammates. One of my teammates that has a drone is getting hit by heat nades, so I'm using a mechanics kit on him in order to take that debuff off of him. I'm doing a little bit of peeking, and they are actually really good, so we're making sure to play back, get our health. Got to put a drone back on myself, and I'm just keeping an eye out on my teammates. And I accidentally EMP myself, and you notice I try to use an OS kit to get rid of that negative effect, but unfortunately it's stuck. And so this is also another reason why it's great to have multiple self-reses, and aim high when you have a circuit breaker and a recon drone is coming after you, so you can easily get it out of the way. And I notice I tagged someone with purple shields there, but they stopped me from pushing with the grenade. We've got one of our guys droning in. I notice I am out of a med drone, so I use that right away. Another drone comes in, our teammate calls that out. And we can definitely tell this is the team that we need to take out. So our teammate actually trades. I'm about to get a res, but my other teammate actually jumps in front of it, unfortunately. I cracked someone's shields, even though the indicator doesn't show that I did. I cracked someone's shields again. And here I try to res. And because I cracked them both, they should both be pretty low, so that's why we got one of them. The other one's shields have recovered, and he's already pushing in. I cracked his shields. You can see in another video I uploaded, you can see the slow-mo for that. And that was the end of that team. Here I prioritize the res, and then we're able to keep going. And we definitely see that the rest of the lobby, with the exception of possibly one other team, was actually wiped out. So I have drones out there, but I am putting signal jammers on. When a lot of ads spawn, that's another good reason to pop a signal jammer, mainly because signal jammers also make it more difficult for enemies to shoot you. They have a harder time actually locking onto you. And now I battery overcharge and hit these guys with some shots of the circuit breaker. They die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But cracking shields on bots is also important. Don't forget that EMPing enemies really does help you with being able to slow them down from being able to hit you back. Now we have what we need, and we're up here at the lab. And one thing to note is if one of your teammates goes down completely, then you need to reapply antivirus onto them if you had done it before, because whenever you die completely, you lose all of that progress on top of your bar. So you just have to reapply that for those teammates, and then they're good to go. Here we make it into the lab, and and in this run, I actually have to run all the way back because I completely forgot to pick up the DNA sequence. Needless to say, we thought that we were absolutely cooked after this, but we pretty much just had exactly enough time to try to get back and actually put this thing in. You know, so I'll give myself a cardio kick when I overheat. That way I can keep running. Just that consumable knowledge to keep yourself going. Like, we were out of time, so you know, it would be detrimental if I walked out that entire way, or had to, you know, wait for my gauge to get all the way down again. So I make it back, and then I put in my DNA sequence, and we get to it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this isn't a compiler video, right? But it's just about playing Triage mainly, and showing you what a compiler run looks like with a Triage. There can always be, but I just want to mention that there can always be teams that approach. My last few runs last weekend, doing the compiler, we were ambushed by other teams that found out that we were doing it. They literally griefed us. So yeah, just make sure that you are keeping that in mind. Maybe set up some mines that are really difficult to get away from. Yeah. But we get the door open and we are off. And what I do is sort of a self-sacrifice play here, just to give them extra agility. I bust a cardio kick. And I might actually do one more cardio kick on the way up. Can't remember. Yep, one more cardio kick just to get rid of some of that heat that's been built up for my teammates, especially for the destroyer. They use up a lot of heat for their just passive running agility. So yeah, I mean, the main takeaways from running compiler with Triage is traversal, cardio kicks, distributing the buffs like the antivirus, making it so that not everybody on the team actually has to carry those. It's pretty huge. Being able to keep eyes on people's health, bringing plenty of self-revives, playing distance so that, well, mid-range, not like really far away from your teammates. You shouldn't be in a different room than your teammates. This whole time, majority of this time, I was right on my teammates. And that's how you should play too as a triage. In any match, even if whether it's compiler or not, you should be close enough to your teammates to where if they say they're shooting someone or they're cracked, you should be able to continue to hit them or get the down. So yeah, we're doing the thing. We're doing compiler. One of my strategies for compiler run is to just, as soon as I just go in, the first monitor I see, I hit that one and tell my teammate what to hit. That was basically our strategy. Then we get in there. I think we all have at least 2 EMP nades to extend the damage phase. But as you can see, M77 is going to do a much better job of, getting that damage to help out my teammates, make sure we can try to one phase them, which we did, which is excellent. And so that was a compiler run. One thing to note that I didn't really realize until going back and looking at this footage, whenever those orbs coming from the compiler hit you, they actually hit you with an EMP basically. So make sure to use your OS kit in order to take that off. But that was a compiler run. I don't know how many of you are actually going to watch this video all the way through, but if you did, go ahead and comment below. I don't know, something like I made it or something. I have no idea. This is a very long video, and the idea was really to entertain, but also just to, give as many tips as I could. And we can also all look back on this as like a community, as like, this is what the experience kind of was for that first season. Some of these things could change, but also I think a lot of principles are foundational. And so you should, take what you can from this, or, if there's some things that you think I missed, make sure to comment below so that other runners out there, specifically triage runners, know what's going on. And anyway, I really hope that you guys really enjoyed this, and I hope that this was really different from all the other triage videos out there. And yeah, I had a lot of fun making it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.